So, Microsoft apparently is talking about putting Sony out of business. Now, here's the thing, right, everybody? These are gigantic corporations and companies. So, of course, that's the end of the goal there, right? Um, I just don't understand at the end of the day, though. Help me figure something out here, guys. So we're seeing a lot of this, dirty laundry, so to speak, come out on this FTC versus Microsoft case. These emails, particularly the one from Matt Booty, that states that Microsoft has enough money to put PlayStation out of business if it wanted to. So help me understand. Isn't that the case of the FTC trying to prove that that's what Microsoft's trying to do, essentially? Not just in the console market, but in other markets. Microsoft's a multi-trillion-dollar company. They have way more capital than Sony does due to the other offerings that they have. So Microsoft is essentially just going, "Hey, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing this. We're going from here." So I just I don't know what it is about it. It feels dirty seeing this stuff out loud. Being a part of companies beforehand, yeah, you always want to strive to drive more sales, obviously more revenue and things like that. And if you have competition, the idea is to put them out of business, so to speak. Um, but it's one of these things that to me is probably one of the biggest reasons why people don't really care too much for Microsoft these days. And I know that there's a lot of Xbox fans out there, and I'm not trying to wage a console war or anything like that. But to me, it's one of these things where I just don't quite get. See, I thought the PlayStation Showcase was fine. By the way, guys, that's why we're talking over it. But I'm trying to understand in a world where it's okay to fail several times at your own games, your own game designs, and things like that. And what I mean by that is, I worry that Microsoft cannot handle that many studios. We just got the whole report about Perfect Dark, right? And what are we saying about that? We are going, wow, like what was the issue that you heard? Oh, management, things like that. And then we get the Phil Spencer interview that, oh yeah, we really didn't manage Redfall quite well, even though we canceled the PS5 version. And you know, I mean, how many games has Microsoft canceled? How many games have they delayed? How many games were we shown 2 or 3 years ago that are still 2 or 3 years off? Like, my question is, and this is like an honest question from a business standpoint, what's going on at Microsoft Studios or Microsoft's Xbox division that's causing that much of a stir? Because if you compare it to a Nintendo or a Sony, it's non comparable. And I'm sorry, but that's not an excuse for a reason for you to go out and buy more stuff for you not to manage well. That's my problem with the acquisition. It's not so much as that you're going to make things exclusive. It's like you're not going. I don't trust Microsoft's managing of video games right now. If you take out Bethesda now, and I know that some people are just blinded by fanboyism, but think about this for a second. If you take out Bethesda, what has Microsoft's game studios released this year and last year? Nothing, right? And they've had studios prior before this. Remember the buying spree they had in 2018, right? I mean, we've been waiting on Hellblade 2 for a while. And you got some very weird games from these studios that are not hitting the mark with some people. You got Pentiment that came out. You got Grounded that came out, but those aren't the games that people are wanting. I get if that's what the studio wants to work on, you don't hold back the studio, but at the same time, you have to set the expectation on what your studio is going to have to be doing. Now, everybody wants to laud Phil Spencer and Matt Booty and things like that, for the transparency that they have. But my thing is like, I feel like a lot of this is great, effective marketing at pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. So every year it's the same thing where, oh, this is going to be Xbox this year, this is going to be Xbox this year. And they fool everybody into this false sense of security. If Starfield hits, fantastic, that's great, that's awesome, I'll be buying it on Steam. Like, hopefully it's Steam Deck compatible. But I don't get the whole, like, I don't know if it's necessarily like trust that we're throwing Microsoft's way when it comes down to hearing about them trying to acquire all these studios. Like, when Nintendo acquires somebody, or Sony even acquires somebody, it's usually a person or a place they've worked with exclusively for a while. Or in some cases, it's a new startup studio that has advanced technology. You're not paying so much for the studio these days, you're paying for the people. And that's what a lot of it really is. And I don't think Microsoft... I don't think that's what Microsoft is doing right now. I think that's what the difference between what Sony and Nintendo are doing versus what Microsoft's doing. I think Sony is buying the people. They're buying the experience. They're buying the developers for that reason, right? Rather than just buying IP. And I'm going to be interested to see that in the long run, because take a look at The Initiative, right? It's a startup studio that Microsoft themselves were starting up. And untold amount of people have left that project. That project has changed hands versus third-party studios. They made a whole entire CG trailer for a game that wasn't even crafted yet. And I know that happens a lot, but it seems to me like it happens to Microsoft more than others. And that's where it gets a little weird to me, is what's the management situation like? Like, I get that you have to report to Xbox, and overall you have to report to Microsoft. But Microsoft seems to be very hands-off of Xbox, and Xbox seems to be very hands-off of their studios. Like, it seems like they're just like, all right, here's a check, here you go, from here. But I think what's getting lost, and this is maybe just me, so if I'm having a studio, and I'm the head of a studio, and my thought process is, all right, I've got to get everybody paid. I got to get everything taken care of. I got to get this, I got to get that, I got to get that. But then all of a sudden, that is supposed to go away when I'm acquired by, a giant conglomerate or an even bigger studio. And we can just focus on what we need to focus on. The problem is you might have some leadership in that regard that, might not feel very comfortable making decisions because they feel like maybe there's somebody always looking over them, even though there's not. I feel like sometimes you have to really just kind of like, just do it. You know what I mean? And I feel like that sometimes they may not understand the scope of what the expectation is because it's not given to them directly. That like, when you look at poor management, it's always down to poor direction, poor communication, right? We expected this from you, but this is what we got. Well, you got this because you didn't set an expectation. This is why you got what you got, right? And to me, that's what this all kind of stems from. The soured relationship with Square Enix, the soured relationship with a few other developers that aren't releasing games on Xbox. And then, of course, the let's just throw money at everything and hope that solves our issue. But the issue is your leadership. Now, is it Phil Spencer? Is it anybody under him? Is it Matt Booty? I mean, those emails weren't great. I mean, and I guess it sucks for them that they're kind of released, but I mean, if I'm sitting here and I'm only playing PlayStation, I'm just going, wow, like, why are you taking games away from me? Like, why are you working to do that? And I get it. Sony does a lot of the similar stuff too. Of course, people are in an uproar about, Final Fantasy 16, exclusivity, and, Final Fantasy 7 Remake exclusivity. But you also have to look at, like, let's look at, like, game development as a whole right now. It seems to me like, beforehand, indie studios would make deals with publishers. Well, now that's crafted all the way up to AAA developers who are making deals with, giant publishers and going, hey, look, we got a game, we have an idea, we want to make it, we want to do it. What do you think? What can you do for us? And I mean, if I'm a developer and I'm looking at the landscape, there's two major places I'm going to try to offer my game, depending upon what game it is, right? And if it's a more easygoing, cozy game, not like a really demanding game or anything like that, I might just go to Nintendo. If it's a good indie style game, 2D platform or something along those lines, I'm gonna go to Nintendo and be like, hey, here's what I got. What can we do? And that's why you see a lot of these 2D HD remakes, really get focused on Nintendo's platforms, and they're kind of like the ones for the marketing for it, even though it may eventually come to PlayStation or Xbox, but you're not seeing that a lot, right? So a lot of it, I think, is because game development is becoming so expensive, we are looking at it from that aspect. That we have to start looking at it from that aspect. You're going to start seeing more and more exclusive deals being made because game development is hard and it's expensive. It's as easy as that. And that's why you see these companies re-releasing things to at least get some profitability going over maybe something they've already had, right? And that's where the excitement from Microsoft buying an Activision comes in, because I'll be honest, Activision Blizzard isn't exactly cooking on all cylinders right now. They're not running on everything right now. But I also feel like they are not hitting they're not going to be hitting their stride at Microsoft either, because I don't know what's going to change. Because if you were to tell me that Sony or Nintendo is acquiring somebody, like, you just saw reports of Herman Hulst shutting down, or Herman Hulst going around checking on pretty much most of the projects, and then the Deviation game looks like it got shut down, right? It got shut down. That to me is the quality difference between what Sony does and Microsoft does. Microsoft isn't going around checking on those. They may do it now after the Redfall fiasco, but they weren't doing that beforehand. Like, yeah, it sucks for something to be shut down, but if it's not meeting what it's supposed to be meeting, that's their job. That's why there's quality control. That's why you're doing that. Like, that's why. And to me, like, that's what's important to remember, is you don't get exceptional titles unless you hold people to the exception. Like, let's take a look at these showcases, for example, right? So many people were disappointed in PlayStation Showcase, not based upon what you saw, but what you didn't see. Well, where's the Naughty Dog games? Where's the Sony Santa Monica games? Where's this? Where's that? Where's this? Where's this at? Where's Last of Us Factions going on? If the game's not ready to be shown, though, then you guys get mad not seeing it. But then when the game is shown and it's not out for 3 or 4 years, then you get mad. There's people still mad at the fact that they revealed Wolverine and haven't shown anything about it. Well, maybe this is a change up in strategy. Maybe you reveal what you have in the next coming 12 to 18 months rather than what I have in 2 years. Because I can just create another showcase based upon that. Or if I've got third-party partners who really want to show off what they have and they want to use our stage, then we're going to take the money from them and vice versa. Like, it just works that way. But then you have Microsoft Showcase, which, yeah, they showed a lot of stuff, but it's stuff that you already knew about. Nothing really groundbreaking, in my opinion, was shown on either showcase. I think, honestly, the best thing that I've gotten this summer has been Nintendo Direct with my Super Mario RPG remake. But I just don't understand where this bias and this trust comes from for Microsoft, so to speak, because to me they haven't proven themselves, whereas Nintendo and Sony have proven themselves. Microsoft has not proven themselves at all when it comes to this space. So I just kind of want to get that discussion out there. Let me know what you guys think. Do you trust Microsoft with multiple studios, like a Sega or like an IO? Do you trust them? You know, I get that they were Metacritic Publisher of the Year in 2021, and that to me, I could pick that apart a little bit too. And you could pick apart anybody's year. But my question is look at the fact that if Bethesda was not purchased by them, right? And remember, they didn't have anything to do with Redfall. They even admitted that. You know, they're just kind of like let Redfall die on its own thing. They've been involved with Starfield, but that's not something that they've been in the boardroom doing, right? They were not there when it was created. They weren't there when Psychonauts 2 was created. Like, they need to start proving that they can build original IP. And once they start proving that their original IP is successful, and it can be successful outside of your... Because they've failed with Halo recently. Gears is non-existent right now. Forza is, you know, the one thing they have that you can look at always and go, that's quality. That's a great studio. What's the story on Fable? We got the Fable trailer, but what more is it? Like, tell me. You know what I mean? And how far away is it really? So, a lot of things like that. And then Starfield, the big one. You know, at the end of the day, it's funny where if Starfield is successful, Microsoft will get the credit for it versus Bethesda, right? If it's unsuccessful, it'll be Bethesda's fault and partially Microsoft's fault for not stepping in, right? I don't know how the narrative of that's going to go. I'm hoping the game's successful. I know a lot of people are looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it. I just hope that, you know, eventually we can kind of see, we can kind of see what Microsoft's overall plan is rather than just throw money at something and hoping it sticks. And that, to me, is what I'm seeing right now. So, if I'm wrong, hey, sorry. So, that's pretty much it, though. But yeah, thank you guys. Join the discussion in the bottom below. I'm going to be putting more videos out like this. Tell me what you guys think. But yeah, you guys have a great day. Remember, like, share, subscribe. Always comment. If you disagree with me, hey, disagree with me. It's fine. Tell me why you trust Xbox when it comes to making games. That's what I want to know. So, all right, guys. You have a great day. Enjoy.